Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So it feels like I just did July, but it is actually time to do my August plan with me. So as you guys know, we're gonna go through what I did in July, any changes I might make in August. I'll give you guys the time lapse and then we'll come back at the end and see how everything gets set up. So first off, let's take a look in July. We're gonna go ahead and start with my PROJO and then move into my bullet journal, just so you guys can kind of see how I end up using the two of these together. So let's take a look. So as you guys know, I did have a separate Q3 plan with me video because I am now in my third P book of 2019. So just do a quick flip from the front over here. Now that I'm actually in the deluxe recycled leather cover, I no longer have that little kind of side pocket. So I've just paper clipped my stencil up here, and I've got a couple of things that I had been migrating way too much, and so I just kind of wrote them as a tickler file and I will deal with them a little bit later. So I still haven't filled in my index. I'm just kind of waiting. This is the really structured P book, and so I don't really need to have the index while I'm actually using the P book. I do like to kind of get a head start, but it's really for archive purposes. So just as long as I do it before I finish this insert, then it kind of will do its job. So I've got my little stickers from the PROJO Plus for Q3. They're so cute. I have not yet done my full 2019 updated vision board. I'm just kind of waiting for a minute. It's as long as I have the current quarter vision board, I really know what I have to work on, and this one is just kind of an added thing that I do just so I sort of know how far along I am, but it's not super necessary as long as I have this. You guys can see I've already got a couple of things crossed off. I have set up my my teacher bullet journal for next year. You guys will see the plan with me video for that in a couple of weeks. And I have started organizing some files, and I've started working on syllabi and Flipgrid stuff and also unit planning. So the school stuff is definitely getting worked on. Some of the other stuff I still have to refocus and figure out what my next steps are going to be. I do have some goals that I've got the next steps working on. You can see basically I've been working on the stuff for work, and then the rest of this is kind of not happening quite the second. The transition to a summer schedule has been a little bit interesting. I have a couple of days where I'm super productive, and then I'll have a couple of days where I don't really do a whole lot. I spend a lot of my time reading, or I'll go for a walk, or I'll watch some TV or whatever. So getting into a sort of solid routine has been basically as difficult as I thought it would be. So yeah, I'm gonna work on this. I don't really use the project's timeline. I never really have. I think in my first PROJO I tried to, but it just doesn't really, it's not really the way my brain organizes information. I much prefer the listing or the mind map setup. So this one I just kind of leave blank. And then here is July. So I'm currently filming this on July 18th. And you guys can see here, this log is really for the stuff that I am working on in terms of my projects. And so there have been a couple of days this month where I haven't done anything, and so there's nothing written there. I've just crossed the day off. And if you guys don't know, the PROJO giveaway is going to close on the day that you guys see this video, so make sure you go and sign up over there. It's a giveaway that I'm running with Claire over at Minimal Plan, the creator of the PROJO. And yeah, as we can see over here, I've got a lot of stuff that just hasn't really been going. I've been doing some sewing, I've been doing a lot of filming, and I've been doing stuff for work, but a lot of the other stuff just really hasn't happened yet, so I have to refocus on that. I ended up doing a bunch of work on sewing projects, so I added this little tracker sort of organizer over here for things, projects I need to plan, projects I need to cut fabric out for, and projects I am ready to sew, because these over here, some of them are ones that I've actually got projects cut out. Some of them are just things I want to do, whereas I have since cut out and worked on some other projects, so I'm gonna have to kind of collate those two at some point. And as always, I will wait and do my July reflection once I actually hit the end of July, which will be while I'm in the United States visiting family, so I will fill this out a little bit later. And then we'll jump into August over here. So let's jump over to here, weeklies. So weeklies have been going fairly well. This was kind of the official kind of end of the school year, so I was still doing a fair amount of stuff, been working on that. This was last week, yes, this was last week. I have kind of dropped doing my goals over here. I am still, they're still kind of in my head, but like I said, the transition to a summer schedule has been a little bit rough. So as you can see over here, for example, I did 2 Talk to Me in Korean lessons instead of 3. I did listen to 2 Italian podcasts, but I have not been working on my font at all. So kind of hit or miss. This is for this week. Once again, I've been trying to keep it really simple. I have been working on some stuff. I've started doing Arabic on Duolingo because I used to study it and I wanted to kind of get back into it. And I've literally been waiting for Duolingo to come out with an Arabic course for years, and they finally did. So I was like, all right, screw it, I'm gonna do it. So I've been just doing a little bit of refresher on there. This stuff needs to work. I'm currently filming my August plan with me, so that's something. So, and as you can see, it's Thursday right now, and I still have to fill in these last 2 days, so I'm always a couple days behind in here, even if it's up to date in my Google Calendar. I do have next week set up, so the end of July, just insofar as like this weekly section is, and I will actually be flying to the US the end of the week, so I basically have these 4 days, and then Friday's a travel day, and then I'm in the US for 2 weeks. So I have not yet set up the rest of my weeklies. I probably will, even though they're going to be really like wide open time-wise. Just I'm not planning to bring a lot of like work-related stuff with me when I'm on vacation, because I want to actually be on vacation. So we'll see how I end up actually using my PROJO while I'm there, and that'll probably come back up in my September plan with me for the August recap, so I'll keep you guys posted. So that's all I have in here. I have my end book as always, and I told you guys in the Q3 plan with me that I did end up switching to a new end book just to kind of recollate some projects and make sure everything kind of made sense, and also to not have to flip through a bunch of pages that are no longer relevant. So I decided halfway through the year was a pretty good point in time to switch to a new end book. So I've got these going on here, got a couple of things I've been working on, a couple of things, you know, not so much. And we are going to come back in here after I show you in my bullet journal so we can check out August. So let's take a look in my bullet journal. You guys can see, I don't know what happened, but over the last couple of weeks, I've been getting tons more transfer on my cover, which is great because it means it's not on my actual bullet journal, but I'm not 100% sure what this is. Like, is it ink from fountain pen? Like, what is it? I don't even know. Anyway, moving on. So we are gonna take a peek at July. So July is my crazy lavender chartreuse psychedelic month, which I love, must say. Also, with one of the other, this little color over here, when I do mostly this one in the chartreuse, it just looks like a psychedelic watermelon, which I'm so here for. Anyway, so intro page, as always, I have been filling in my I've been filling in my monthly log as usual. So as you guys can see, I just kind of log when things are happening. I don't have a lot of like appointments on here. I think the biggest one is that I have my haircut and then I'm traveling to the US. And I actually did color code my little dot over here for when I'm coming back from my holiday, just I don't know, just to kind of make it a little continuous thing. Intentions have been going pretty well. I have gotten pretty close on most of them, I think, except for Korean and font. I've actually already sewn 3 things this month, which my goal was to sew I think my goal was to sew 3 things. So I'm hoping to get more stuff done because I've got a bunch of projects that I'm working on. But I really do like having this in here. It just kind of helps give me an overview of the month, kind of collecting all of the different data that I have from my weeklies or whatever to just see like, okay, these things that I had planned on doing based on what I tracked, you know, in my tracker or in my PROJO or whatever, like how close did I actually get? So I think this is going to be something that I keep for a while longer. I've got my tracker. Let's go ahead and move bookmark out of the way. So I have my tracker over here and things have been going pretty well. I did actually change this. So it used to be that I would have it on either on Saturday or Sunday. And now I was like, it's as long as it happens during the weekend, it doesn't matter. And you'll see I actually ended up cleaning and doing my normal weekend stuff in the beginning of the week, 2 weeks in a row. So, you know, whatever. As long as it kind of gets done, I don't really care what day I do it on. You can see summer, I've been slacking a little bit on certain things, but overall doing pretty well. I have already read 3 books for this month, and I'm working on 3 others currently. So I've got a book in French, a book in English, and an audiobook in English that I'm currently kind of working on. So see how much further I get over here. I've got my review that will obviously happen at the end of the month, but so far so good. Then jumps right into weeklies. So I've got like a week and a half almost on a full spread. So I've got, you know, 1 week up to here, and then I wanted to have a nice header, so I actually just didn't do my normal column all the way down and then start the next one. I just kind of clumped these so that I could have the next week there. And I have a little cooking thing. I ended up dealing with all of these things, just it happened like later, so I didn't cross them off. And I realized that I needed a new YouTube workflow. I was on a roll filming a bunch of stuff because I'm really trying to get ahead so that I can have a little bit more downtime and really just focus on filming my plan with me's on like the week that I need to post them. So this is actually my like third YouTube workflow, I think, for this bullet journal. And let me show you the way that I do my threading. So going back to my first one somewhere, here. So this is my first YouTube workflow, and you'll see over here that it's on page 13, and then I've got to the right page 126. So if we go to page 126, somewhere, 126, if we go to page 126, down at the bottom here you'll see I have page 13, so the first YouTube workflow, and then on the right side I have page 163, which is this one, my second YouTube workflow. So basically, whichever the first one is, I page thread to the next one. The middle one gets page threaded back to the first one and to the following one after that, and then the last one gets page threaded to the previous one, and if for some reason I need another one of these, I'll page thread on the right side to the next one. That way, depending on which one I'm in, I can find my way back to previous or current YouTube workflows. So, and the way that I do it is I try to set up everything before I need to post it, and then all that I have to fill in is the post date once I actually do that. So you'll see over on page 126, for example, somewhere here, over on page 126, I actually have a bunch of videos that I've already planned that are going to be coming up kind of in the fall or whatever, that they're all set and ready to go. All I have to do is publish them, which is hopefully going to help me out a lot during the school year. So that's kind of how that works. I also haven't updated to film because the one that I had previously is getting kind of jumbled, and I had done some stuff already, so these were just some more like current ideas, and I liked that it was next to my current YouTube workflow. So that was that. The other thing I had to do was a new expense tracker, because my last one I did for 6 months thinking, wow, that's going to be so much time, like I'll definitely need to, you know, I'll be in a new bullet journal or whatever. Nope, just kidding. I'm actually still currently in this one, and we've got July, and I'm going to be setting up August. Like, I'm not sure if I'll get the last 4 months of the year, but it's going to be pretty close. So I just went ahead and set up my expenses through the end of the calendar year. I also am on my third library loan tracker, which is page threaded the exact same way as my YouTube workflow. So this one is page threaded to the previous one. The second one is page threaded back to the first and to this third one, and so on. So there's that. And then back to dailies. So this is the end of last week, and now we're up to this week. Let's go ahead and move bookmarks out of the way once again. So this one I did not, because I had a lot more on this page, I just went ahead and did a smaller header and then just went on with this week. So it kind of depends how things fall. I try to set it up so I waste the least amount of space, but that it's also still visually very clear when my weeks change. And it helps that I do change the headers week to week so I can just see at a glance where my week changes over. So we've got a bunch of open tasks still. I had planned to do a bunch of stuff yesterday and it didn't happen, but I've been working on completing some stuff today, and I'm hoping after I finish filming to work on some more stuff. So that is kind of July, not August, not yet. So that is kind of July so far. So I was trying to sort of guesstimate how much space I was going to need through the end of July, and I figured I can definitely get the end of this week on this page and possibly even 1 or 2 days of next week. And I basically, if we look at, whoopsie daisy here, if we look at my monthly, I need to get 1 more full week and then a partial week. So, and actually this might end up going into August. So basically 1 more full week. So I went ahead and I was like, all right, I'm gonna give myself a little more space just to make sure I don't run out. So get the end of this week, I've got next week, and then I've got an extra page. And if I need to use it for something else, or if I need it for dailies, whatever, I at least have a full spread so I'm not short on space. And then I went ahead, I'm going to be traveling soon, so I started my next packing and travel list. So a lot of times I actually have 2 full spreads for this, where I've got 1 full spread for pre-trip tasks and 1 full page for pre-trip tasks and 1 for post-trip, and then another full spread for flight information, train information, general other information, and a packing list. But because this is just going home to visit family, I really don't need the other information that I sometimes have underneath my flights and trains. I really just need that pre-trip and post-trip information. So I decided to make them a little bit smaller just because I am using my PROJO, and so things that are on the monthly I'll be able to refer to. But this is more, especially for the pre-trip, is as like, okay, what's the stuff I need to do before I leave, and like really focus on that here. And then when I'm there, I can kind of add stuff on here. I have a feeling this is gonna get used a bunch. This one, maybe not so much. So we'll see. I have started my packing list. I haven't gone fully into it, but I've at least started my packing list a bit. But I wanted to make sure I had this because my trip is straddling July and August. I wanted to have it kind of right before August. So I just threw it in here, and the next page is going to be August. So let's go ahead and take a look at my pre-planning pages for August. So we are back in my PROJO, and this one is a pretty simple setup. Okay, so if you guys have seen on Instagram, I did a post a while ago saying that I was reading this book by Brene called Daring Greatly, and I've really been enjoying it. It's been very insightful. And so one of the sort of cornerstones of her book, like what kind of sparked this like leg of her research, was this quote by Theodore Roosevelt. And it is an awesome quote. I love it, but it's also super long. So I initially was like, okay, I'm gonna do the quote, but I'm going to kind of like shorten it a little bit and whatever. And I was like, you know what? This morning, literally before I started filming, I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm going to do a much shorter quote. So you guys will see what I'm gonna end up doing for that. But I do have kind of an idea for the quote, but it's going to be different from what I have in here. Anyway, and I will try and remember to put the full quote by Theodore Roosevelt in the description box so you can just see it in case you're not familiar with it. So my color scheme, I was going through, because I've been using 3 to 4 colors each month, and because I've been using kind of contrasting colors, like I don't pick just like orange or just blue. I've been doing a combination of like pink and purple or orange and brown or whatever. I was having a really hard time figuring out a combination that I hadn't done yet that was like kind of Augusty. So I ended up going for this. I picked out 4 colors, and again, I have sort of 2 more vibrant colors and 2 more pastel lighter colors. And no particular reason, just I was like, well, I haven't really done this like pinky red, so what can I do that will go with this that is a little bit different from my other colors? So I haven't really done either of these 2 vibrant colors before. I've done things that are similar to the 2 more pale colors, but like the 2 vibrant colors, I haven't done that combination yet this year, so that was kind of what I went with. So I have, for the vibrant colors, this red is 755 with this 555, this kind of deep blue, and then I've got this sort of like light strawberry, if you will, 703, and then this pale kind of icy blue is 451. So those are the colors I'm going to be working with this month. Next, I've got my log. So August is 31 days, just wrote that in there really quick. I wrote out some ideas for my intentions. It's basically going to stay the same, except that I'm adding an Arabic, which is something I have been working on. I am going to keep my tracker the same for right now. Reading goal is also going to be the same. So honestly, this setup is really not going to change very much. It doesn't really make sense to do it in the summer just because I have so much free time that this is when I'm going to work on tracking all the things and doing all the things. Like, yeah, I did not actually set up anything yet for my PROJO just because as always with this kind of stuff, well, one, my key projects don't change a ton, and I know based on what I haven't done yet in July, a lot of them are going to be the exact same in August just because I haven't gotten as far in some of them as I had hoped to. Also because I don't like to set up my next month until I've kind of finished out the current month and done my reflection and all that kind of stuff. I will basically set up my August monthly log, but as you guys know, it's always like a really quick thing in my PROJO. So it's really gonna be more on my bullet journal. So that is plenty of talking. Let's go ahead and time lapse and I'll come back and show you guys at the end. Okay, so that is my August setup. Pretty simple as it has been the last few months. I did do a little bit of detail on my intro page here, so I have a very pale, let's see if it'll focus, a very pale drop shadow under greatly, and then I did a little bit with that. So basically, I decided that rather than do the entire quote, I would do kind of like a little mantra this month. So my mantra is going to be dare greatly, so just kind of a changed version from that quote though. And because it was kind of a changed version, I hesitate a little bit as to whether or not to put Teddy Roosevelt down here. For the moment, I'm not going to, just because it's from the quote, but it's also the title, it's part of the title of the book, so it's just kind of like a little mantra for now. I do also have my August 2019 over here, and I have to say I really like this color combination. It's kind of fun. It's kind of like a dark summer look, I guess. Then we've got weekly, and once again I used a color that is really pale. You can kind of see it on here just to kind of split out my weeks. And I have all of my different intentions over here. So basically all the same as July, except that I added in Arabic. Since I have been doing that, I figured I might as well make it an official intention for August. So, and I've got a little bit of room to add down here when I sew stuff and all that kind of fun stuff. Then we've got tracker. So this is exactly the same as July, which I think is the exact same as June. For right now, I really like having this information, and it really is at this point very much a tracker. So there are certain things, for example, anything that's on a week level are things that are either cleaning stuff that I try to do every week, so they're only going to show up once a week, or they're kind of intention things, so I'm working on languages, sewing, that kind of stuff. Even like the exercise one is something that would fall under this weekly one, so those are kind of intentions that I'm working on, whereas all of this stuff is really stuff that is essentially habit at this point, and I'm just tracking to see if and when I skip days and kind of why. The legends are exactly the same as well. As always, I will do the review at the end of the month, and then my reading is just the same as always. So what I'm not sure, and I almost never set up my first dailies in the new month, but one of the things I'm not sure about with this month is depending on how much space I have, whether or not I'm going to try and fit those last 3 days in July over here. Normally, I would always put it in with August, but just given the space I have, I'm not sure if I'm going to do that a little differently. So for right now, I'm not going to set up the next week just until I kind of see what's going on in here. So the other thing I did is I just did a quick little setup in my PROJO, literally very quick. So I have my little column for what I post on YouTube, and I've split out my weeks here. But since I do still have a week and a half left in July, I'm not going to touch my key projects yet. That is just going to have to wait until I see sort of what else I get done before I go on holiday. And obviously this, I can't really fill anything out until it's actually that day. So this always just kind of stays like this up until the first of the month. So we'll see. I definitely have a lot of stuff in July that I had hoped I would be further along on. You know, we'll see. I've still, like I said, I've still got about a week before I leave for the US, and I know that once I'm in the US, I'm probably not going to work on most, if any, of these things, just because I'm going to take the time to actually take a break. So we shall see. But that is August. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know this was a lot of chatting and probably not a very long time lapse as usual, but honestly, this is what has been working in my bullet journal, so this is the way I've been setting it up. And yeah, hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. Hey guys, so if you've made it all the way to the end of this video and are actually watching my end screen and you're not subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you would. There's a little button right there for you to do it. And if you're interested in watching some more of my videos, I have links to 2 of my older videos off to the left there, so you can check those out if you would like to, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.